So it was probably just as tedious for you to watch me fill out that table as it was for me to make that table at the end of the last video, where I just wanted to see how much money I would have after 4 months. And I said, well, now imagine 40 years into the future. This would be incredibly frustrating to make some table like this, right? I needed to do all this calculation just to find out what I'd have at the end of 4 months. We don't want to do that. So instead, we actually have this savings annuity future value formula. So I'll just go through all the kind of common things that we've already seen before, and then talk about this one thing that we've added in. So A is what our book has always going to use for future value. So that's going to be the balance in our account after some T amount of years. And please do remember this T in the formula is always in years. So whether we're getting our interest monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever it is, T is always going to be in years. R is our interest rate as an APR, and remember it's always in decimal form. So if I've got 13% interest, I put it in as 0.13, not 13. N is going to be the number of times we're making deposits and earning interest in that year. Okay, so I might as well just address this right now as an additional assumption that we are getting interest in the same time periods as we're making our deposits. In other words, this formula is going to work perfectly if we're making deposits every week and getting interest every week. Okay, now if we're making deposits every week and we only get interest every month, you gotta fiddle with some things, and we're not going to handle that in this class. Okay, it's not that bad. That would actually just mean, right, if you put in $100 every week and you're getting interest every month, you can kind of approximate that by saying, well, at the end of the month I'm having 400 then, about 4 months. But it's annoying, okay, because of how calendars work. But anyway, we're not going to assume that, or we're not going to be doing anything like that. We're going to make an assumption that we put in deposits at the same rate as we're earning interest. Okay, so that's what that N is how many times per year we're putting in money, which is also the same as how many times per year we're getting interest. So moving forward, as we get to like homework questions, make that assumption, right? So if it says we're earning interest, right, that we're making $100 deposits and getting interest monthly, that monthly means we're getting interest monthly and we're doing the deposits monthly, okay? Or if it doesn't say how often it's compounded, but we know we're putting in money every week, assume we're getting interest every week. Otherwise, this formula doesn't even work. So that's got to be an assumption that we make. Okay, so that's what the N is how many times we're actually making those deposits per year, which is, again, exactly the same as how many times we're earning that compound interest in a year. That T, again, is the number of years. So this is a future value formula. So this will tell us what the value is going to be in the future. And T is just how far into the future we're looking in years. So actually all of that stuff we already had in the last section when we were just looking at these kind of lump sum future values. The only thing that we're really adding in is this PMT. So first things first, that is one variable. That is not a P, an M, and a T. It's an abbreviation for payment. It is just one number. Okay, so this is just going to be the amount that we deposit each month, or each week, or each quarter, or whatever it is. Okay, so that's just however much that amount is. So it's bigger and more complex than the simple interest or the just regular compound interest we were doing in the last unit. So we're going to have to be a lot more careful with our rounding. Okay, so just to reiterate, if we're making deposits every month, we're going to use monthly compounding, and that N is going to be 12. If we only make a deposit once a year, we're going to assume that the compounding was annual, and we'll use an N of 1. If it's quarterly, we'll use 4 for that, right? Because there's 4 quarters in a year. Just make that assumption and do your calculations with that. So now let's talk about when should we use the savings annuity future value formula versus what we had last unit. Well, because if you actually look at the formula sheet that I've given us for units 3 and 4, I've got it all on the same sheet here. So I just want to make sure we know what to do here. So this top table is all lump sum formulas. In other words, I'm only using these formulas that I have here in the situation that I've only put in money once, and I just want to see how much interest I would earn off of that single deposit. These formulas at the bottom are going to be our annuity formulas, and you see our first savings annuity value formula right here. This is for those regular payments. So look for the PMT, right? Because that means we're making regular payments. All of these are assuming that, right? Regular payments versus the P0, which was our principal, right? Like what we started an account with and then just left it there, never added to the account, never took out from the account. We just stuck it in there. Okay, so that's a way of recognizing whether a formula actually even relates to what we're trying to do here, is that all the annuity ones will be talking about payments, and all of the lump sum formulas where I'm just putting in something will have this P0 principal in it. Okay, that's all I want to talk about in this video. I just wanted to show you the formula and make sure we understand the assumptions we're making and what all those variables actually are.